What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another edition of the Bare Minimum with Four Star Chicago Sports. I am Brandon. That is Dustin. What's going on, Dustin?
Another day in
Guys,
paradise.
we unfortunately have to talk about the thing that nobody wants to. It sounds very likely the Bears are to relocate to Northeast Indiana. The
It's
Bears
more
did
like
this
it's looking more likely than you ever felt like it would.
very
That's
from
for sure.
Northwestern, yes, area, very much so. It feels real for the first time, I guess, because you keep hearing,
hmm
every day it's ever changing. This feels a little more stable than it ever has. The Bears also did promote Jeff King to the assistant general manager position, which is pretty overlooked considering all the news we've heard about the relocation today. And then I did want to talk a little bit about what I think the Bears' defensive issues are rooted in, all that and more after this, guys.
Windy City banners rocking 4 stars align. Dynasty dreams rise, bulls in their prime. Cubs curse shattered, the victory divine. Fields be running, clock ticking on my timeline. Shot town heroes, legends never fade. Black Hawks flying, cutting ice with the blade. White Sox diamonds, the South Side parade. 4 stars shine bright, legacies they made. Mike with the crown, air rain, no dispute. Sweetness in the backfield, Walter in pursuit. Bear down Sunday's midfield, battles cute. Chicago.
What's up, John? Welcome to the bare minimum.
What's
How
going
we
on,
doing
John?
tonight?
Thanks for always just being here and early and on time. Often we appreciate you, brother. Yeah, guys, the elephant in the room that is our Chicago Bears might no longer be the Chicago Bears. Part of this
The
proposal,
elephant in the room, and it's not JB Pritzker.
the, the other elephant in the room. Um, I don't know that this is true. What I've read speculatively is that part of this proposal is that Indiana is kind of demanding that the Bears become the Indiana Bears, which is kind of gut wrenching and heartbreaking all at the same time. So, from what I understand, Dustin, is Indiana state legislature got the ball rolling on this as soon as the Bears reached out, which makes their proposal obviously a lot more intriguing on its own just to begin with, because the meeting the Bears had scheduled with the Illinois state legislature was canceled. And as far as I hear it now, a bill was never even entered. They never even started the discussion amongst the legislature here in Illinois. And there's a lot of things. I mean, this Indiana is waving a lot of things in front of the Bears that are just really too hard to ignore. So let me ask you first, starting this, man. If they're no longer the Chicago Bears.
No, first. What you're about to get into is the crux of the conversation. I'll just say that. From my perspective, we as Bears fans don't have no control over all these bills and shit, and trying to get teams.
Fat
We're going to clear
governors.
a pathway for you to, the tax thing and this and that. Like I don't know a lot about that shit, Brandon. So we're not going to dive a lot into that. But you're saying that you just said that Indiana's waving a lot of things in front of the Bears that are going to be hard to pass up on, and you hear a lot of these things and they sound too good to be true, and it's like, if you were the Bears, how could you pass up on these things? What are some of these things you're talking about, Brandon? Because like, if it were me or you running a business, and we could choose between the, choice A or choice B, A being Illinois and B being Indiana, why would we choose Illinois or why would we choose Indiana from your
Well,
perspective?
I think right now what's most important to focus on, guys, and like Dustin said, to not dive too deep into it, to leave this in layman's terms, is right now there's only choice A. You have not been presented a choice B, and the Bears are not moving the ball on that at all, or the Illinois is not moving the ball on that at all. But what Indiana is basically telling the Bears is like, we're gonna you build your stadium, we're gonna basically do everything else. They already have infrastructure in place in regards to traffic, highways, road construction, even down to plumbing, man. And then the big thing is they're raising taxes on their own citizens in order to help the Bears fund this thing. They've had their proposed a food and beverage tax increase on the citizens of the state of Indiana. So they're basically finding ways to help the Bears fund this thing, which I just don't, when the Bear, because Illinois is going to counter propose. That is going to happen. It's going to happen. I don't see anything like that
How could
happening
they
in this.
offer what Indiana's offering in terms of like the Bears just put their money into the stadium, but like the tax rate that they're paying on it is going to be extremely lower by everything that I've read. I think the Bears, it's being
Yeah,
reported the Bears.
the players will make more money just just by playing in the state of Indiana. I mean, there's a lot of perks here, man, and I don't know if you're not somebody like us, Dustin, who's born and raised here, who's rooted for this team your whole life. Like, if you're a player on the Bears that's not from the state of Illinois, this
What
sounds
does it?
like
What difference does it make? Yeah, what does it matter?
yeah, this sounds pretty damn good to you, I would imagine. So I don't know how much opposition there is here, and especially if there's never even an offer on the table to compare it to, and there isn't. There really
Well,
isn't.
what it's felt like this entire time is Indiana is just this tool that the Bears are using as leverage to get the best deal possible from Illinois.
That's what
That
it
it's
felt
just
like.
it's felt like that. The Bears are flirting with that idea, and it's just to get Illinois to get their shit in gear and come to the table with like something real for them to work with. They want to get going in Arlington Heights. I think that that's their first choice, right? But now what's up, Vizzo Joe? How you doing? Now you see what happened today, and then this thing gets canceled with Illinois, right? The state of Illinois, and
It
apparently
was
the
like a
Bears
white towel.
were like negotiating with them leading up to it, and that's concerning too. Like, right, like something didn't go right for this thing to get canceled, and at that same time, Indiana's like, all right, well, we'll just get this law passed through our shit that opens up the pathway for the Bears to build their stadium as quickly as possible, and we got real estate lined up that makes a lot of sense. It's not that far from Chicago. We're gonna make this as easy as we can on you because you bring that business to our state. That only adds more, revenue to our state and all the things that are going to come off of it. It's as we've been talking about with this Arlington Heights thing for over a year. It's going to be like, its own entity, like with all shops and restaurants and all kinds of jobs for people. So I mean, like Indiana wants in on that in terms of the revenue, but like I don't understand what it's come to today. It feels like if I were the Bears and I was and like you said, the Illinois is going to come with their own proposal, but how's it even going to stack up against Indiana's? Like this Indiana thing, it just seems like it's way too good of a deal for the Bears to pass up on. So then it really just comes down to how much does it mean to you as the McCaskies and the people running this organization to maintain that history of being the Chicago Bears and being in the state of Illinois. That's what it comes down to, right? Because they're going to make more money and they're going to have an easier time going at it with Indiana, I think. So now you start thinking like this is a real possibility, and our Chicago Bears could be the Chicago Land Bears or the Iliana Bears, like some crazy shit like that, And when you start thinking about that, Brandon, the biggest question becomes: is that still Chicago's team? Is that still the team you grew up rooting for? And I think that's the biggest crux of this conversation for us as Bears fans who, our head will explode trying to wrap our minds around all this. And like, obviously it's a lot of work for Kevin Warren and everybody involved to get this shit done. And it's not for us to really understand. I don't think like they're going to figure that shit out. What it comes down to is like, this feels real right now. Like you said, realer than it's ever felt. And how do Bears fans feel about that? The potential that it is in the Bears are playing in Hammond, Indiana.
Well, and to put a little more perspective on it, and this is the one part that what I wanted to know today is, with the Bears, with Illinois canceling this meeting and Indiana making this proposal, passing a bill, they passed a bill. So it's like, why did Indiana, Kyle
Same
mentioned
here,
last
John.
week, Indiana they're on a time frame. Okay. This had to be done soon. So I looked
Just
up
because of
why.
their law, when they're voting on
Yeah.
these things,
The
basically.
hoopla, right. So this had to go from by the 27th of February. the Illinois state or Indiana state legislative sessions would end, which means the next time they were able to propose this would have been
It'll be a
next year.
year from now. Yeah.
So and the reason they did it now on the 19th as opposed to 27th is because this had to go through the Senate, the House. I mean, this had to take a lot of steps in order to get here. And Illinois is showing the Bears right now no motivation to get anything like this done. They're almost saying to the Bears, "You do what you want. You're gonna go there. You're gonna leave." So why it feels so real to me, man, is because
Arrogance? You
we
think
don't
like
have. There
Illinois?
is. We were talking about which like the two options the Bears have as of right now, guys. The way that I'm reading it, there's only one. There's nothing. Illinois is wavering, like, nothing against this. They sound pretty complacent, like they're content with the idea that the Chicago Bears. So it was like we talked about the Bears brought in the idea of Indiana to kind of strong arm the state of Illinois, and the state of Illinois was kind of trying to strong arm the Chicago Bears, but really the state of Illinois isn't showing. In order to strong arm the Bears, you'd have to have some like want for the Bears to remain there,
Well,
and
that's what
they
I'm
just
asking, Brandon.
don't.
Is it just like Illinois saying like you're the Chicago Bears, you're not going nowhere? Like they're not worried about it, and that's why the Bears keep going further and further in this little flirting game that they're doing with Indiana, man. That's what I'm wondering. John says I wouldn't blame them for leaving. State of Illinois has screwed the pooch on this one. Yeah, 100%.
Absolutely not.
Deacon Mike says they haven't moved to Indiana yet. They're holding all the cards and are using this as a chip. Bears are going to move to wherever they can spend the least amount of cash and get the best tax break. So that's kind of what I'm saying, though. Right now, that's clearly Indiana. Like, just us knowing Illinois and how shit goes here, like, whatever proposal they put out there, it ain't going to match what Indiana's talking about giving the Bears in terms of those tax breaks, in terms of the money. Like, it seems like Indiana is the far better choice based on the deal that the Bears already had in place with Illinois and Chicago, right? And what you're seeing them put out about what Indiana is offering. So that gets us to this conversation, Brandon. Again, I'm not no fucking moneyist. I'm not an economy aficionado. I don't know about all this shit. My big thing.
Yeah, we're certainly not lawyers, that's for sure.
This could be what it comes down to. Where do you guys in the chat, where do you, Brandon, fall in terms of your fandom if the Bears are in Hammond, Indiana, 20 minutes from Chicago? It's not that far, right? But like,
no, it's basically because
it's Chicago. It's
people talking about the
Chicagoland.
external factors. Like I heard the word like crime a lot.
J2K.
Like I don't think you're too
There's
far
a
away
shit ton of
from
crime in Chicago.
Yeah, I don't think you're getting too far away from that. I'm gonna be honest, guys. I don't know how much different that's gonna be, but Dustin, it kills me, man. I root for my roots, and what sucks is like because I don't waver from the place that I'm from in regards to how I root. I've suffered through misery of in all across all sports, my college teams, my NBA team, my baseball teams, my hockey. Like we've had some championships
Some
sporadically,
highs.
but it's been majority shit. And just when the Bears align, this kills me, man. It kills me because I ask people all the time when they tell me they're from here, but they root for there. I always say, like, why? Why do you do that? You need to root for the team that resides in the state you're from, the city that you live closest to. That's what you do. That's what dictates how a person becomes a fan of anything. And it bothers me that I don't have that to hold on to. It does. Listen, if they're the Indiana Bears, we don't have another NFL team. I've rooted for them my whole life. It still makes sense for me to root for the Bears. But it bothers me that I feel like I'm rooting for somebody else's team now.
Okay, so let me make a counter to that because, like you just said, growing up in Chicago, man, I had the Bulls.
What's
We had
up,
the
J2K?
Bulls. That was a lot of fun. The Blackhawks had a really good run in the 2000s. The Bears, have been up and down. The Bears have been the worst, honestly. The Cubs got their World Series, but they were all kinds of, cursed up until that point. But you talked about what we've gone through as Chicago Bears fans, and generally, to me, and it's been a lot of disappointment and a lot of high expectations and those not being delivered on, and just
in a big market.
there's
Yeah.
always next year,
Oh,
right?
sure.
Exactly. But the thing that's made it that way this entire time, Brandon, is the fact that you haven't had a quarterback and you haven't had that coach.
That's what I mean. It's aligned
right?
now.
Oh, exactly. So, like, why now, if they move 20 minutes down the fucking road, would you jump ship just because
Well, you
you
can't.
kind of that's kind of my point though, because but you're hearing a lot of this. Like if they turn to the Indiana Bears or the Hammond Bears or the, like I said, the Iliana Bears or whatever, like I'm done rooting for them. They're no longer my team. I would, me personally, if Caleb Williams and the Bears went to goddamn Los Angeles, I'd follow Caleb Williams there. He's going right down the road if they go there. Like, you finally have the thing that you need to have that sustained success. And as a fan, it's just like, that's not gonna throw me off of it if they move down the road a little bit. I mean, I got family in Northern Indiana. I grew up in, family that all worked at US Steel, like all in that area. Like, it's driving to that area to me is the same as driving to the city of Chicago. Personally, it don't make a difference. Right now is the best time probably in my lifetime to be a Bears fan. And if they got to do what they got to do, because as John said, Illinois is screwed the pooch on this. And if they continue to, the Bears are going to have to make the best business decision. And I can't hold that against them because I would do the same thing. You would do the same thing.
And the reality is the Bears
my fandom ain't changing, and I'm sticking with Caleb and Ben Johnson and this Bears team. And I'm not going to question it for a second, personally. Now's the time to stick with them.
They're still the team. Like, even if you look at it from a geographical standpoint, they're still the team closest to me. You know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%. And there's a lot of places that are displaced. They don't have teams, and they have to do that. They gotta pick. Like, Indiana don't have a baseball team. You got a lot of Cubs fans, a lot of Reds fans in Indiana.
You said if they move to LA, you're gonna file cap. Like, I don't know, man. I don't know if I could say. I guess I'd still watch them because I'm not going to be a Packers, Vikings, or you can't just become a fan of a divisional rival.
Yeah, you're not gonna.
You can't.
Does that become the
doesn't
Packers
work that way in your
right,
fucking brain? You know what I mean? That's just not the way it goes. But I'll tell you this: I don't know how inclined I'd be to watch them if they moved all the way to LA. I think the St. Louis Rams fans lost the majority of their St. Louis fan base.
Listen, there's a lot of factors that go. Vizzo Joe is saying right here, I've never even been to Chicago, but have been a Bears fan for most of my life. I'm 50. There's a lot of factors.
Can I ask you, Vizzo Joe, what made you root for the Bears?
There's a lot of factors that play into that. His prime, like coming of age shit, watching the Bears was when the Bears were dominant, Brandon, in the 80s. There's a lot of Chiefs fans all over this country because they've watched Patrick Mahomes and dominate. There's a lot of Warriors fans all over this country. These kids grow up watching them,
dynamic,
right?
Because you root for the Niners, like, so, and because you have
that was family ties,
exactly.
Right? Yeah. There's a lot of different reasons.
Yeah, so I guess you could probably make a little more sense for me, because nobody in my father didn't watch sports, man. I mean, nobody in my I was self-interest. It was self-interest. I watched a game. In 99, I watched a game between the Rams and the Titans, the greatest show on turf.
You watched the Super Bowl.
And I was hooked. I watched, was it Mason reach for the 1 yard line and fall just short? And I was like, that was like the greatest drama film I've ever watched in my life in 3.5 hours, man. And I want to see more of this. But it was nature for me to root for the teams from the state of Illinois, and I could be proud of being a fan of those teams because that's where I'm from.
Well, here, look at Vizzo says right here, Walter in 85. It's players, like it's Steph Curry, it's Patrick Mahomes, it's Caleb Williams. The Bears finally have that guy that, like, kids are gonna want to be like, kids are gonna want to emulate the way he plays, and the Bears are gonna end up with a lot of transplanted fans because of Caleb Williams and what's gonna happen over the next few years, right? So, like, the Bears finally have that. Say they move to Hammond. Say it happens. I still don't think it's going to happen. I just want to say that. I still think that this is all
Right. I
leverage.
don't like reporting this like it's news. I've told you
Yeah,
this
yeah.
before.
I mean, and people are trying to get engagement and clickbait out of saying it's a done
Yeah.
deal.
Packers
Nothing's been
fans.
decided. Nothing's been decided. They're just trying to troll us as Bears fans.
The Green
But
Bay
like the
inbred.
reality is, it shouldn't matter to us that much. But all I'm saying is, I still think that the likelihood is the Bears stay in Illinois. But there's a lot of different reasons, man, that kids watching sports decide to become fans. You watched a great Super Bowl between the Rams and the Titans. I was hooked on football well before that. I was, but like there's all kinds of reasons. You could play the game and then just love it. And then you maybe you play middle linebacker and you're like, my favorite middle linebacker is Zach Thomas in Miami. So now I'm a Dolphins fan. You know what I'm saying? Like there's all kinds of and you can choose your fandom the way you want to. You can,
Yeah. I mean,
Brandon. You can come into it the way you need to,
sure. And I'm
and
not,
that's
listen,
okay.
I'll be critical over the way people choose to or the way people dictate who they root for. I will be. It doesn't mean that you're wrong or right. I mean, to fall in love with a player, I love players on every team in this league. And if I kept to like, if that guy, Larry Fitzgerald was my favorite player when he was playing in the NFL. He just seemed like a stand up fucking dude. I follow his LinkedIn account. I focus on what this guy today. I think but I wouldn't have been a Cardinals fan because Fitzgerald retires, and then I love a player. Mike Allstott was one of my favorite fucking players in the NFL. But I was never a Bucks fan. I just liked the player. I was an Allstott fan. Like I said, I'm always grounded in the same thing, Dustin. I've watched this Illinois team, whether it be basketball, football, for 2 decades, just suck ass. But I still watch them, man,
Yeah, for sure.
because
And that
they're
just
my
comes
team.
down to, and a lot of that has gone away now too, Brandon, because when we grew up, it was all about local television. There's so
Right.
many more
That's
ways
really
to
all you could.
consume.
If it wasn't
There's so
prime
many,
time,
exactly.
yeah, you
There's
weren't
so
seeing
many
it.
more
Yeah.
ways to consume
It's a
the
good point too,
content.
Dustin. That is.
Yeah,
That might be what, because I
there's
told you
league pass
I
and
watched when the
Sunday ticket
Rams.
now and all this
I
shit.
loved that Kurt Warner team. I didn't become a Rams fan. I decided to watch the Bears, but maybe subconsciously I'm not even aware of the fact that it's because that's what was on. That's what I got to see.
Yeah,
You
exactly.
know what I mean? That's a
John
good.
makes a good point here, Brandon. He says if Illinois bent over and gave the Bears everything and the Bears still walked away, I don't know that I'd follow the Bears in that case. That would be like just choosing to become a
Yeah,
traitor, right?
that would feel like Kevin Warren was
Yeah.
the only person decided making that decision.
And he says that's not what this is, though. It is not. If Indiana is bending over backwards to give you the best possible option, and Illinois is going out of their way to make shit as difficult as possible on you, then you kind of get painted into a corner, and you got to make the best business decision for your franchise.
And if I'm being
That's the
honest,
reality.
Dustin, if I had to guess, Kevin Warren is very much in favor of this Indiana move, and George McCaskey is holding on to hope. That's if I had to get. That's why I put these two in the thumbnail. I think that's where the battle is within the organization. I think that's why the Bears haven't just signed for this cake deal that they're getting from another state.
And listen, I mean, this point's been made a lot. Deacon's making it now. The Giants play their home games in New Jersey. They've done that for a long time in the Meadowlands. The Jets as well. They're the Cowboys are in the Dallas Cowboys are in
If I
Arlington,
was in New
Texas,
York,
right?
I'd be a Bills fan, anyways.
All right. Well, again, you can choose whatever you want. This isn't that bad. If the worst case scenario is that the Bears get a really nice stadium to do all the things that they want to do, and it still has an effect on the fan base to where we can have a better experience and the team continues to succeed, and you got Caleb and Ben Johnson winning football games for you, I think things could be a lot worse. There's been teams that have their franchises have packed up and left in the middle of the fucking night. That has happened multiple times in the
Yeah,
NFL.
that's Seattle Supersonics fans.
Well,
That was pretty
Browns
rough.
fans, the Baltimore Colts at one point when they moved to Indianapolis, right? Like these things have happened. It's not out of the realm of possibility. The one thing the Bears are doing really well is they're being transparent. There's the information is coming out, but they're staying on top of it. They've made it clear that they want to do the Arlington Heights thing. It's really up to Illinois to give a little here and help this thing happen, because Illinois doesn't want to see all those potential jobs and all that revenue just leave. And then the other thought I had is like if the Bears stayed centralized in Hallis Hall in Lake Forest, but played and earned all their revenue for the games in Indiana, there's no way Illinois isn't like, we're taxing the shit out of you on that still. Like you see the states do that shit all the time. I know California does that for a lot of businesses that, operate outside of California but are based in California or vice versa. There's a lot of shit that goes into play with that too. So it's like you're not getting out off scot-free without Illinois getting a piece. I don't think so.
No, and it seems that it's like this. They're just following suit, man. A lot of major businesses. Listen. We could start a whole different podcast if we wanted to. I'm not going to dive into politics, but may and smart business owners are leaving all of these states, Dustin. They're leaving all the states run by
Yeah, they're
people
being taxed
who
to
are on one
death.
side of the aisle. It's. I mean, this is. I don't see this trend changing. I really don't. So, I would listen. I am not gonna. If George McCaskey, who's part of the legacy that is the Chicago Bears, a part of the McCaskey family, obviously, or a part of the Hallis family. I'm not going to hold it against the guy for doing what's best for his bottom dollar, and especially if he's not even proposed a fucking offer from this statement. That's the thing that bothers me the most is people are like, oh, how the Bears passed up this offer versus what? The ball's not rolling. So
Here's the other
the
question I
Bears
had.
might not even have a chance to stay in Illinois. They
Brandon,
really
we
might.
had this discussion about a month and a half ago, or 2 months ago. It got a little crazy, honestly. We had it went a little off the rails. But you say the Bears move out of Illinois, end up in Indiana, and then a couple years from now, some AFC team packs up and leaves wherever they're at and comes to Chicago.
I thought about this, man. Then nobody's coming here. Nobody's coming here by
Well, because
choice.
Foster says right here, SoFi is 8.8 million a year in taxes. Illinois wants like 80 million a year. How do you do business with that if you're the Chicago Bears or
No,
any NFL franchise?
there's no
But
team.
just
No.
hypothetically, just entertain it. Don't be the
Sure,
guy that shoots down a
sure.
hypothetical. Don't be that guy, please. I'm just trying to have some fun here, have a conversation. Do you're talking about this proximity, where I'm located to where the team's there. Say the Bears are in Indiana, 20 minutes south of the Chicago city limits, like they're right there. That's been your team you've rooted for your whole life. Caleb Williams is still their quarterback, but the Jaguars pack up and come to Chicago and become the Chicago
Bad team to
whatever.
choose for this debate.
No, it's not. I'm asking, like,
I fucking love that team, anyways.
ugh, ew. Pick your random AFC team that's not doing well in their city, and they come to Chicago. Do you just become that team's fan because they're closer to you by a few miles?
I would root for them. I'm not saying that I'd exclude the Bears from the teams that I like to watch, but I would root for the team that moved here, of course.
I don't
Absolutely.
think I wouldn't. I
I
wouldn't,
love.
man.
Listen,
I
I
wouldn't.
grew up in Grays Lake, guys. Okay, that's the city I grew up in. Grays Lake. I don't live there anymore. I'm pretty far from there now, but I was closest to Northwestern. It's the closest major university that I grew up with. So I watched Northwestern,
What's up,
and
Phil?
they're atrocious at everything. They're not good at anything, and I suffer through it in hopes that one day I can be proud of the fact that I stuck by them because they
It's
were
never gonna
closest to
happen.
me. Of course not.
Northwestern is never gonna.
Yes, and
No.
I don't know because I thought the same thing about
Football, they've
Illinois.
gotten close. Football, they've got. Oh well, Illinois still hasn't. I
Well,
mean,
yeah, Northwestern just you know what, they just fired an abuse scandal, hazing scandal, and hired somebody from an abuse scandal. So like it's not getting any better for Northwestern anytime soon. But
yeah, I don't ever see them being that team that you're
relevance,
holding out hope that they'll be,
yeah.
man. To be
But
honest,
I'm again, I honestly thought to myself,
they're
there
more
is no.
about
Well,
their
and
academics.
college is so much different, man, because it becomes so much about the power to recruit, and Northwestern will just never have that. But I thought Illinois was when you get that coach, man, that can take a
Exactly,
school.
Foster.
When you get the coach that can take a school that doesn't have good recruiting and flip that on its head, sometimes it does change things. Sometimes that school becomes a premier
What is
location.
your
But
point though? What's the point you were getting to?
my point is that I can't waver from how I feel about why I root for the teams I do. It's ingrained in me. It is. Now, I've never experienced this where a team that I love dearly moves somewhere else. But I can't help but think if a team moved to Chicago, I wouldn't watch the hell out of them.
I think the Bears are my team, man. I don't think it's gonna mean I I've just been completely dismissive of this entire time, Brandon. You know that. Like
Well, listen,
Northwest
let me say this.
Indiana,
This is important for
I
me to
used
say
to go
this.
there every summer to see my family, and it's been a shithole like my entire life. It
We
doesn't
have
seem it is growing, it is expanding, but it doesn't seem like the place where you would want a Chicago an NFL franchise to be. To me, it never has. I've been very dismissive, but if they put the best deal on the table, and everybody keeps talking about the politics of this, and Illinois just kind of just rested on their laurels and just banked on the fact that the Bears were going to be in Chicago no matter what, because that's just what it's been like. And they get the table pulled out, the chair pulled out from underneath them. I don't know that it's that big of a deal, man. Like that economy could grow there. I'm sure there would be a beautiful site, and I'm sure that the travel to and from is not much different than driving to Chicago. For me, driving to the Bears game has always been a pain in the ass either way.
yeah, but that's not
Arlington Heights would be cool, but like I just don't see that big of a deal out of it. And if your team can save some money to put back into their franchise and to put back into their, the facilities and all those things, like that's a good thing for the fans because it means a better experience to me.
I do still wonder how Indiana's feeling about that food and beverage tax. But I
And
want to say
again, and then there's another positive. Those taxes aren't pushed on to Chicago citizens or Arlington Heights or the state Lake Cook County. You know what I'm saying? Like it's not put on them.
yeah, I mean, those the taxes are going up anyway. But I I do want to say this, and we're Chicago Bears podcast. We got to talk about these things. It is the only and biggest piece of news for today. But I want to say this. This is kind of the position I've held on it, and it's kind of the position I want to keep. I'm running out of ifs. I don't like talking about this stuff anymore because every time we do, it's pitched in a different light, and we're
More
reading
shit
something else.
changes. Yep,
I
yep, yep.
until this is fine, until the Bears, Chicago Bears, come out on all their social media platforms and say it's official. I want to talk about it then, man. Like, it's this is too much, man. Kyle announced something last Monday that he had read that morning that like we were all excited about. Like the Bears had got the ball rolling on the legislation, so it sounds like they're for sure going to be in Arlington. We're reporting something different every week, and I don't. It's we're no more educated than anybody else, and until the Bears tell us what the hell they're doing, I'm running out of patience with it, man. I really am. And
That's why, yeah, and that's why I didn't want to get into all of the ins and outs of it too much, man, because again, there's just too many changing pieces too consistently, and there's too much information, and it's honestly kind of fucking boring
we've never
and
re-reported so
confusing.
much on a subject in
Yeah,
this show, man.
well, it is important though. It is very
Of
important
course. And if Bears
to
fans want to
right.
hear about it.
Yeah,
And I'm
and
gonna
a
be honest
lot
with
of
you guys.
Bears fans and a lot of Bears, I've seen a lot. It's very split. There's a lot of people that are just like straight up. If they're not the Chicago Bears, then they are not my team. I've heard that being said, right? And then he also a lot of people saying what did
I read
Deacon
a lot
say?
of who cares today
He
on
said if
social
they move to Hammond, it's not like it's 100 miles from
media.
Chicago. Once the dome stadium and facilities are built, it'll be back to normal. Yeah, we'll just get used to it, and that'll still be our team. And like I said, Caleb Williams will still be your quarterback, and Ben Johnson will still be your head coach, God willing. So like, there's
And Caleb
still
is my favorite player.
that is still your team. That is still your team, Chicago. Whether you like it or not, that's still your team. And like I said, there's been a lot of other fan bases that have been done way more dirty by their teams, and there's still Cleveland Browns fans today for whatever reason. Like they had a right to go figure out something else if
And
they wanted to.
there are still obviously people who reside in St. Louis that are rooting for the LA Rams because that's their team. And that's the
And
only one they got.
Deacon says the Bears called Pritzker and canceled the meeting today. I would imagine those negotiations went
I
very
haven't read
shitty.
that. I don't know.
Yeah,
Check it out. I'll have to know where you've read. I haven't read that. I I would imagine that, like I said, I think George McCaskey is trying very hard to make this work, man. I think he's probably the only guy in that organization who's holding on to hope. It doesn't matter to anyone else.
what up, Chicago?
George McCaskey is rooted in the legacy that is George Halas and the Chicago Bears. Who else on this organization gives a shit? Why would they?
I
Is,
think they
is
all
DJ
understand,
Moore from
Brandon.
Chicago?
Brandon, I think that the decision makers for the Chicago Bears and Kevin Warren, all of them, they understand the importance of Chicago Bears staying
They
in the
understand that they're in a
Chicagoland
big
area.
market, but I think they
Yes, they
know that
understand that
but they
importance.
know that this fan base is one of the most loyal in this country,
Yeah, and you're still going to
they're
get the
gonna
money from
have
that
them
market.
anyways.
You're
Yeah,
still going to get the money from that
and they're
market,
gonna
especially
and
if you're
guess
that
what?
close.
When Caleb Williams talks about the fans, he's still gonna say the Chicago fan base. That's not gonna change for these guys. They still represent the same people, the people
Yeah,
that have been there cheering for him since they got drafted.
we
So
got a
I don't
new member. We got a new member in the chat.
Chicago
Chicago
verse.
verse. What
Was it
up?
Chicago versus Indiana?
Versus everybody, probably.
Versus Hammond. I like your thumbnail there, dude. Your little photo. That's pretty dope.
Thank you for joining.
Cubs, Bulls. I'm with
That's BS. All they're doing now is getting the bill passed so they can negotiate with Arlington Heights. It's another leverage chip. I feel that way too. And
That's what me and Dustin have stood
Indiana
on.
has no chance. I've refused to believe that Northern Indiana.
I like
is
your
gonna take-
certainty of Chicago verse.
Yeah, that's pretty badass. But I mean, I just don't see it happening either. All I'm saying is that it's gotten a lot farther. Illinois has let it get a lot farther. The Bears push a lot farther, trying to gain that leverage than I expected them to. Maybe I'm
It almost
naive.
started as a bad joke.
Yeah, it's like
we're gonna
fucking
we're gonna go
Gary.
we're gonna go to
Yeah,
Indiana.
sure.
And then Indiana was like, wait, hold on, listen to what we have to say.
Yeah, listen, we actually got some
Get
really
in,
intriguing shit
shut
to
the
talk
door.
to you about. Yeah. And now Illinois is really behind the 8 ball with this, and they got a lot of work to do to catch up. So, like, just how real it's gotten and how quickly it's happened, it's worth talking about and it's worth acknowledging. You know what I'm
And
saying?
we have to. It's the reality. I don't want to. The reality is we don't have a choice. This is something that needs to be discussed. It is heating up. It is. I will say this: every time we talk about it, it's a different story. But the voices are getting louder for sure. So,
The
Dustin,
voices
there
in your
was,
head.
like I said, the voices. Man, we can't do that on the show. There is another piece of news
Good content.
that was overlooked today. I think by all this stadium stuff, and it's that Ryan Poles decided who his future assistant general manager is going to be.
Future and current.
I do want to talk about this hire.
Jeff King,
I like to give people different views. Like there's
former NFL tight
a lot of
end.
podcasts that seem to be super positive about everything. Okay, I want to. You said something before the show started, and I don't think I could have found a better word, adjective. This feels rather
Bearsy. Feels Bearsy.
Does it felt like? Yeah, sure. Just give it to him.
Just one of the good old boys that's been here with us this whole time, toiling. He helped us draft Mitch Trubisky.
Yeah, this is so. I don't know, Dustin, if you have the ability to put in front of you. Jeff King has worked for this organization since the Ryan Pace era. He has been
so
promoted.
2015 scouting intern, 2016 to 18 pro scout, 2019 to 20 assistant director of pro scouting, 2021 director of pro scouting. He's just moved up steadily, right? 2022 23 co-director of player personnel. So I mean, he's been doing it with Poles since Poles got here, right? And then 24 25 senior director of player personnel, and now assistant general manager replacing Ian Cunningham.
Deacon Mike says Bears go to Hammond. Brandon will put a few tall booths on the state line, charge $100 to get back into Chicago. Yeah, and he was an NFL tight end as well. This guy did play the tight end
for the Arizona Cardinals.
Yeah, but I'm never opposed to. I said this when the Bears were looking for their next offensive coordinator. So you have to start with the internal interviews before you seek externally. And they stuck with the guy in Press Taylor.
The continuity organization. This guy's been putting in the work with Poles and Cunningham. He's been their right-hand man this entire time. He's been the third guy.
And
It makes total
and
sense.
and there's not a lot of people, guys, outside of executive roles that remain with different groups of brass in a sports team. You know what I mean? You don't often see a guy who exists through multiple management changes. Like,
Yeah,
so
yeah. He's weathered some storms
yeah, and
for
he's
sure.
impressed.
Yeah.
They stepped in this building and they think we're gonna clean house, and it's like, oh wait, what's that little shiny thing over there? Let's keep this dusted off and keep this thing around.
It's kind
But
of similar to Ben Johnson in some ways, if you think about it. Like Ben Johnson's been in that position as well a couple of times throughout
yeah,
his
even
career.
terminated. But I do feel like, I don't know, it you know you there was reports of who the Bears might look have some interest in regards to the offensive coordinator position outside of the organization. There was multiple names listed that the Bears had interest in. It just kind of felt like it was, I don't know, Dustin, it didn't feel like a search. It just like, yeah, he's here, go ahead, this is easiest, you know what I mean?
Well, but how can you
Let me ask
doubt
you, why
that?
does it feel Bearsy to you? Why does it feel that way?
Well, it's just because he's
Because I
been
had the
with the
same gut feeling, but like, why?
right. Well, because we've been fucking traumatized by all the shit that's happened in the past. He's been with the organization for 11 years at this point, right? And he's steadily moved up throughout. So like that shows you that he's an earner. He's a go-getter. He's self-motivated and he just keeps creating opportunities for himself and he's acquitted himself well for everybody who's been, a decision maker for the Chicago Bears in that time. So I mean, that's all positive stuff, Brandon. I think really why it feels Bearsy is because it just feels like he's just one of the good old boys, like more of that stuff from the past where you make hires that are just comfortable for you
Yeah, he's
versus
from the old culture.
stepping out of your own, right? Well, I mean, obviously he's probably adapted to this new culture, I would hope. Maybe he's always just been this shining spot, like you said, throughout this entire time. It's not like we've heard a lot of Jeff King's name throughout this entire time. He's just been putting in the work. But it just feels like it's a comfortable hire versus, stepping out of your comfort zone,
Convenient,
kind
yeah.
of try to be challenged potentially. But at the same time, man, when you talk about Press Taylor being just promoted from within to offensive coordinator, when you talk about this Jeff King promotion, you talk about how the Bears coaching staff has taken charge of this organization and how Ryan Poles is growing into his role as the general manager for the Chicago Bears. The continuity makes sense. And what they showed us in this past offseason, what they did and how they approached things, the coaching staff and the front office, and then the results that you got in the regular season all the way into the playoffs. I mean, they've earned some trust, Brandon. They have, right? Oh, he disappeared.
Yeah, and
I think
as
they've
much
earned
as
some trust
as
to where we can kind of move past that Bearsy thing for now because the results are changing, the culture is changing, the everything is changing, Brandon. Even maybe the location
yeah,
of where the
and
Bears play football games.
the thing that I like about it, man, is like when the Bears were aware of, you know, the bad hires they've made at all these positions, general
What's up,
manager and
True?
coach, and they're flipping the script, they're firing these guys. And when they're firing these guys, when you clean the entirety, you've fired all your coaches, there's nobody left, and you've down to these very few staple pieces that will always remain, like George McCaskey. This guy was there. Like when there was only a few proud men standing, Jeff
What's
King
up, Notorious? It's been
was
a
still
minute.
there. So you have to imagine he's close to the people that run this organization because he's been there was been periods of time where he's the only guy there.
Yeah, and
And
he's
that
stood out
intrigues
in a
me.
positive way in that time, Brandon. And it just to me, I feel like Poles has a comfort level with him for a reason. He's obviously leaned on him up to this point. He's continued to promote him, and when he's been in the building too. So this just makes sense. And you'll probably see this guy follow a similar career trajectory as Ian Cunningham just did with the Chicago Bears team because I think you're going to see more good roster moves being made. And this is a really important offseason for Ryan Poles. That needs to be stated, right? Like he's going to war this offseason. He's up against the cap. He's got a successful season for the first time ever that he's bouncing back from, and he's got to find a way to create cap space and add players and nail this draft and all those things, man. So like having a guy that you're comfortable with that's been doing it with you since he's been in Chicago, I think that means a lot going into such an important offseason for a guy like Ryan Poles. I think so.
Yeah,
You know,
and it's we're very early in the off-season process too. What's important to me, man, the Bears team hasn't always been very diligent in doing this. Is
maybe.
the Bears didn't take very long to fill these slots, right? The offensive coordinator, the run game coordinator, like Sean and Kyle did a good show Wednesday about or yesterday about the guys that have filled those roles. The Bears were quick and definite in deciding who these guys were going to be. I mean, they're we're very early in the offseason for these guys to have already have decided what this staff's going to look like moving forward. I
And
think
I feel
that's important.
confident in it. You feel
Yeah,
comfortable with it, I
yeah.
think, as a Bears fan. Whereas in the past, it would have felt like iffy. You know, there's confidence that should be had in Ben Johnson. There's confidence that should be had in Ryan Poles after what they just gave Chicago Bears fans. Like it's okay to trust these guys right now, and I think King is a good choice for Ryan Poles, and I think it's gonna pay dividends in this offseason, man. But yeah, just like on the blush, it does feel a little Bearsy, but at the same time, it's like, what does that mean anymore? Hopefully, that whole notion is changing in general.
Yeah, guys, let us know what you think in the comments about the promotion of the elevation. They keep saying, I don't know why they refuse to use the word promotion, but the elevation of Jeff King and the role that was Ian Cunningham over the last few years. And now that you're going to see this guy interacting with Ryan Poles in the draft room, you know what I mean? And Ryan leans on his guy. That is one
Hmm.
thing that we know. There are some
Yeah,
GMs that I think are a little more headstrong and want a little more control, where
Ryan
Ryan
Poles is very
trusts,
collaborative. He's very
yes,
collaborative in
and
terms
he
of how he
trusts
makes
the people
decisions.
that
Yeah.
he's willing to put around him, which Dustin, me and you have preached for a very long time. That's important to the success of an organization.
Yeah,
You
let them
gotta
do
be.
their jobs. I mean that hierarchy and framework has been set within this organization, and I think Jeff King just kind of steps into that really easily in a nice, smooth transition. The same as Press Taylor as offensive coordinator, and the same with all these guys that they're bringing in and elevating.
Notorious says Prickster. I always say Shitsker, but that's I like Prickster. That's
Prickster's the one, Brandon. It's clear as day. It's right there in front of you. Shitster,
Shitsker. Shitsker's
Shitsker.
okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's okay, but
yeah.
Prickster is like right there. He says he's disappointed, guys. He must have finally been able to look down while he was taking a leak. Got pretty disappointed. I don't
Fuck,
know, man.
fuck that, dude. That's the furthest I'll go. Fuck
That's far
that.
enough, probably. Phil says
Oh,
Pigster. All right, keep them coming, guys.
yeah. Well, Pigster. I like that. It's fitting. I swear to God, I've ever heard that guy fucking squeal a couple times in the middle of a sentence. But
Brandon,
I,
a couple things have come across today that I
outside
just
of
want.
Jeff King,
Yes, Amen Agban Bamiga was cut.
oh
I think
no,
saving $2.7 million
ah
in
man,
cap. I think it's a limited amount of dead cap space, a
fuck
few
that
hundred
dude.
thousand dollars.
Yeah, I'm
So
sorry, it's not
that
fun.
happened today. So the Bears are already making moves. I believe Edmonds is going to be cut too. They're going to start they're going to start the restructures. They're
Yeah,
going to
that's getting
really
close, Dustin.
try
We're
to
close
open
to
up
it.
some cap space for what they need to do here. So I mean that happened, and then a couple of other things like a lot of speculation stuff. I shared with you earlier that I saw on Bleacher Report like some trades that could make sense for teams. The Dolphins are clearly in sell mode right now. They're going into rebuild, and I saw an article on Bleacher Report that had Minka Fitzpatrick. They suggested Minka Fitzpatrick to the Bears for a third-round pick and a seventh-round pick, and then the Bears get back
What
Minka Fitzpatrick and a sixth-round pick.
I was trying to figure out, like, I couldn't make sense of what was the affiliation with because you sent it to me. I didn't get the whole thing, just the picture you sent.
I just sent a screenshot. I didn't send you the
What
whole article.
what was the affiliation to the compensatory picks?
No, it was more just saying if they had those, they could. It would be
Okay,
easier to
they
make this
like I
kind of
that
trade.
for a minute, man,
Yeah,
because I was busy at work. I was like super excited that they like
yeah. It wasn't. It was.
reevaluated.
It wasn't
Like
really an important part of the article, man. It was just more saying had they gotten those compensatory picks, it would have helped in
I'm
making a
much
move
more
like that.
inclined
It was
to.
an article basically saying that the Dolphins are gonna move on from Minka Fitzpatrick, and these are some teams that could go for him and what the package could be. And I guess, and then you sent an article about Devin A. Chain potentially being able to be on the move in that same fire sale shit that's going to happen in Miami. And then our discussion kind of became, would you rather trade a third round pick for Minka Fitzpatrick or Devon A. Chain? And I thought that the chat might be interested in that conversation. I know it's not like
And
prime news right now, but like with this
no,
offseason
let's
coming
do
up,
it
the Bears
because
are going to have to get
and
creative in how
you
they
could
add
write.
talent. They need a safety. They could use anyone could use a running back like Devon A. Chain. So, which would you prefer?
Yeah, no, I love this debate because you can make a strong argument either way, and like, and don't. And I know you know this, Dustin. I know you know even when we're doing these things, I have I'm well grounded. And I have a good knowledge of the like. I know this dude is who he is. Minka Fitzpatrick is the best cover safety in the NFL. And I looked at his. You're looking
Minka
at numbers.
Fitzpatrick's a fucking stud, man.
He's got the best range in the NFL. I mean, and he's not often. He's like a J. He had a Jalen Johnson effect over the course of his career. He's just not often thrown. You just kind of avoid
He's a damn good
that
tackler too.
area of the
Yeah,
field.
yeah.
Like you don't want to take chances throwing the ball towards Minka Fitzpatrick, which is an element that only very very few defenders in this league provide. So I am well aware of how important it would be to get a player like that at this position when you're going to desperately need one, especially, but also with a third round pick. I mean, that's a third and a seventh, but
Yeah, the
that'd be
safety
pretty
in Minka
remarkable.
Fitzpatrick that you'd be getting for a third round pick would definitely be better than whatever safety you might potentially draft with that third round pick, especially when you're trying to contend for a Super Bowl in this upcoming season. I think the Bears need to get aggressive in a lot and creative in a lot of ways in terms of adding talent to this team. And I just thought it was an interesting one. And then you brought up the A chain thing, and then Foster asked, right, and that leads into another conversation of do they cut Swift and save that 7 million in cap
Nice
space
there. I
cutting
appreciate that.
him? Yeah. He says
Oh,
you have it made.
I I like the A
If you
chain.
trade for A chain, you kind of have to, right? You
Yeah,
don't keep both.
I like the A thing because the guy is young. I mean, I like Fitzpatrick. I think
Fitzpatrick is 29 years old. He's
yeah, he'll
29
be
years
on
old.
the other side of 30 when the season starts. And
I thought it was 6.7 Foster.
I think that he has declined. I don't think the trajectory for Fitzpatrick is moving upward.
You don't save the whole contract.
In 3 seasons, he's had one interception, but again, he's a player that's not often targeted, and he missed a whole year. I mean, this guy missed a year ago. This guy missed all but one game. So that obviously impacted his numbers when you're looking at just the stat lines across ESPN's websites. But A Chain, who's also had some injury history, nearly rounded 2,000 all purpose yards last year. He had 12 touchdowns. He's probably a top five dual back in
He's
the
a
NFL.
home run threat every time he touches the ball.
Yeah, he's got one of the best 40s at the position. I put him in regards to
So
dual
yeah, I said
threat
7 million.
backs. Not let's exclude Derrick Henry, who's really just a pure running back. But you got Jonathan Taylor, Bijan Robinson, James Cook,
C-Mac.
CMC. This guy's up there, man. I think A Chain's he's definitely on the boundary of a top five player at this position in the NFL. And I think Ben Johnson could maybe even do more with him than he's already done. I really do believe that because, like you said, Dustin, Ben's going to make it work.
So the
Whoever's get,
converse, yeah, exactly. That's where the conversation goes to me because, like, as Benjamin Williams says right here, Swift is good. The Bears should keep him. I fucking love DeAndre Swift, and he had the best season of his career with Ben Johnson. And it really comes down to, for me, Ben Johnson is going to get a hell of a lot out of his running game, I think, no matter who the running back is. Now, you can say add Devon A-Chain to his running back room, and that just gets a whole lot better. And I can't argue with that because Devon A-Chain is a damn good running back. He's obviously better than any running back that's on the Bears roster right now. I don't want Breece Hall over Swift. I don't want Travis Etienne over Swift. I would rather have Swift. I would rather have Swift than all those guys. But if you're talking about trading for Devon A-Chain, A-Chain is obviously a better running back than Swift. You just worry about the injuries. But what it comes down to for me is you're gonna need safeties. You're gonna need to improve your defense in a major way. That's got to be the focus of this offseason. Everybody keeps saying that. And I just trust Ben Johnson to get a whole hell of a lot out of whatever running backs he has. So if I'm giving up a third round pick, I'm not targeting the running back if I have the choice between A-Chain and Fitzpatrick. I would rather take Fitzpatrick. He's a veteran safety. He gets the job done. You know you can count on him, and he's a great piece to add to a defense you're trying to fix going into a year where you feel like you should really be contending. That's what it comes down to for me, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, they need more help on the defensive side of the ball. Like a guy that runs a 4-3 at this position, man. I can't imagine what Ben Johnson would do with Jahmyr Gibbs doesn't run 4-3. I mean,
no, yeah, A-Chain is he has perpetually led the league in yards per carry. You know, since he's just put up monstrous numbers in that regard since he came into the league. He's just a home run threat. He's a damn good player. I think it's all pie in the sky stuff. The Dolphins are definitely going to be trying.
I think Ryan Poles would be more inclined to go after Fitzpatrick, doesn't I do.
And I think it makes them. I think it makes the most sense.
It's your need, and because we talked about talent versus need, he's both.
He's very fucking talented.
He's just both.
And he's a great character culture guy, which Ryan Poles loves as well. So, I mean, like, he's a leader for your team.
And that feels more real to me because for whatever reason, he's always kind of undervalued.
Fitzpatrick?
I thought Jalen Ramsey, like, I was like, what the hell?
I couldn't believe
he was doing, man.
I thought it made no sense. I thought Fitzpatrick was clearly the better player, and I think that kind of showed last year. Yeah. And so it didn't make sense to me. I think making Fitzpatrick's one of the best safeties in the NFL when he's at the top of his game, and I would be ecstatic if the Bears were able to pull it off. Guys, the reason we're not talking about the Max Crosby thing so much is because we're going to get into it, but we did like a whole show on it on Monday, man. And we talked about it an awful lot. I know it's still hugely popular right now, and we'll get into it. Deacon, we agree with you 100% again on Monday. If you haven't watched the show, go back and watch the House Hall Hangover. Talked in depth about the interior of this defensive line, the edge rushers, that's the biggest issue right now. And it's also a position that you're upside down in terms of money you've paid out and production you're getting. So that's a problem as well. So it clearly needs to be impacted. So in that vein, Notorious says CJ Allen or Caden McDonald, assuming both Billings and Edmonds are gone. On Monday, we ran through all of like the major mocks going out there right now. And I looked at 9 of them, and 5 of them had the Bears taking Caden McDonald. It's a clear position of need for the Bears. Nose tackle is never a sexy pick, but it's always a good pick if you get the right guy, because that guy can immediately change your run defense. And me personally, I would take Caden McDonald over CJ Allen just on the strength of the fact that Notorious, I think this draft is a lot deeper at linebacker than it is at defensive. I would want to get that stud defensive tackle. I think it's a bigger area of impact that the Bears need to address. And I think Caden McDonald would just be dominant in terms of stopping the run and being that guy that the Bears need. And you can get some really good linebackers later in the draft. But I really do like CJ Allen as well. I think anything they're doing to add studs to this defense, whether it's trading for Minka Fitzpatrick, drafting Caden McDonald, drafting CJ Allen, drafting TJ Parker, drafting Lee Hunter. I mean, there's all kinds of options. And whatever they do, I'm going to be pretty happy with that if they're improving this fucking defense, man.
Yeah, I think this is a great
segue. No, we're not going to keep Roschon.
This is a great. Wow, I can't believe we heard that name.
We're not keeping Roschon.
I took the under on myself.
Cut. Get him the fuck. Done with that project.
Yeah. This is a good segue, Dustin.
Exactly.
I started to dig a little bit. Sean actually sparked this for me, and by providing a really good statistical comparison because when you
The
look
Sweat and Max Crosby stuff.
right,
Yeah.
and we know that Max Crosby is a really effective edge rusher, guys. He's one of the best in the league. Sweat's numbers when rushing the pass
Have been pretty solid. They were really
very,
good this past year.
very comparable.
Yeah, they were solid this past year
They're
compared to.
almost parallel. But
Mhm.
that made me think. We talk about pass rush, pass rush, pass rush,
It
pass rush.
made you think, Brandon, because you watch with your eyes and you see Max Crosby is clearly making a bigger impact on the defensive side of
Yeah.
the ball than Montez Sweat, right? Just watching
And
it.
you
Like,
know me, like once
yeah.
I got like this college pass attempt. Once I'm hooked on something, I just like phonics when I was learning to
Yeah.
read.
Heroin, cocaine.
Yeah,
Once
yeah,
you're
well,
hooked,
yeah,
you're going
yeah.
all the way.
You name it,
Don't
I've been
if
there.
you get the limitless pill, you're just going for it.
Yeah.
That's your
I've,
personality, Brandon. You're a go-getter.
I've developed an obsession with the statistic that is a stuff, guys. And this statistic is to stop the ball carrier from gaining any yards, either at the
At the
line of
line of
scrimmage
scrimmage or
or
behind it.
behind it, for, right,
Yeah.
for a negative yard gain or no gain at all. And I looked at all of the players across this Bears defensive front. I should mention that the league average stuffs in a season is 8 to 9. Okay, 8 to
For a
9.
player.
That's for any player. You're talking about. So I started to think. We
For
talk
any
about.
player along the defensive line?
Yep. So I
Okay.
started to think. We talk about pass rush. That's where we and Dustin. What does Dennis Allen always say?
Well, you got to stop the run to be able to rush the pass, right?
This problem is
It's the
so
biggest problem on the
far
Bears.
deeper rooted in
Yes.
stopping the run than it is getting after the quarterback.
5.5 yards per carry they allowed last year, Brandon.
Yes, and I think I
Like
thought
3.5 yards before contact, or maybe more.
and we were making a good point last week too, where the pass rush was even afflicted by the inability to get any push up front. Like these guys, there's a pocket there always for these opposing quarterbacks. But I started looking at the stuff numbers. Now I just told you the average is 8 to 9. This is the Bears' entire defensive front, top to bottom. Montez Sweat led this with a 7.3 stuff rate. He had 13 tackles for loss. After this, you have Dexter at 6, Billings at 6. Now, I'm going to
6
say
stuffs total, or
no, this is tackles for loss. So, yeah, basically, yes, yes. 6, Booker at 5, but remember, Booker, what did he miss? What did Booker miss?
Brandon, if you're only looking at tackles for loss, you could be missing out on some stuffs though, because that might not be a
Well,
loss.
no,
It might be a no gain.
well, no, I'm not because I
Yeah.
think I think Montez Sweat, yeah, because I looked at Montez Sweat and I looked at Austin Booker today, and Austin Booker was listed at 5. Montez Sweat was listed. Remember, I shared the picture.
Yeah, tackles for
Yeah,
loss.
Austin Booker was no stuffs. I sent the
Okay.
picture of their stuffs with highlights. Yes,
Yes.
they were the
Okay.
same. They were the same. Okay, so
Okay.
Austin Booker had 5, but what did Austin Booker miss? 5 games.
6 games.
Okay,
Yeah.
so I kind of want to. I don't want to really bet. I'm not going to beat up on Booker too much because I think Booker is going to
Booker's
be
a stud, and he's
I
only
think he's
going
going
to
to be
get
a guy
better.
that improves
Yeah.
this number drastically if he plays a 17-game season and gets more snaps during those games. After that, man, it's Grady Jarrett had 1, by the way. Dominic Robinson had 3. That actually surprised me a little bit. Shamar Turner at 2. I mean, the problem to me is very clearly not in getting after the quarterback. As the problem with this team is that these run defenders they can't take blocks, they can't consume blocks, and they can't fill gaps.
That's
And I
where
don't.
Caden McDonald comes in
Yeah.
real big handy.
So wait again. So right, that's what I started to think about today, man. Is we were talking about who was it? McDonald versus Banks.
CJ out. Banks was the 3 tech right out of Florida. I mean, I'm not as high on him as other people.
Well, I kind of want to
I would take Caden
reevaluate.
McDonald over him personally.
I kind of want to reevaluate.
But I would like either one, I think.
I said that I would prioritize the 3 tech because it gives the ability to close the pocket and rush the pass. I don't know that the pass rush gets any better until these guys can stop the fucking
Until you
run.
can consistently stop the run.
Yes, I think that's where the Bears' biggest defensive problem is. I think that's where it's deepest rooted, and everybody wants an edge. Everybody wants Max Crosby. Everybody wants. Listen, guys,
the flashy numbers.
I'm changing my direction here. If I'm looking to trade DJ Moore or first-round picks, I'm looking at potential tackles in the NFL that have already established themselves as dominant players. And
The thing
Ryan
about that
Poles,
is there's not
right?
any on the market, right?
Well, there.
In terms of
Well, hold on.
Dexter Lawrence
There's
potentially.
just fewer of them. I don't know that there's not enough, but yes. But I was just going to say this, man. Ryan Poles showed us an ability to find places where teams might have problems retaining players. I would like Ryan Poles to explore that first. I really would.
Yeah, would the Giants part with Dexter Lawrence?
Yes,
Would you
not
rather have
Thibodeau.
Dexter Lawrence or fucking Crosby?
Lawrence.
I would
I'm
100%
yes.
rather have Dexter Lawrence.
I guys,
Yes.
this has changed my outlook entirely. It really has. And again, Sean turned me on to this because I'm looking at this like, man, was Sweat really that
No, because
good?
you when you watch the game, you can see that Max Crosby is clearly making a bigger impact than Montez
Yeah.
Sweat. So if you put their sack numbers next to each other and they're very similar, and their pressure numbers next to each other and they're very similar, where is that impact coming from that you're
Well,
seeing with your eyes?
and Max Crosby, by the way, guys, I didn't know this either. I looked into his numbers, his stuffs.
Insane.
This guy is one of the best run defenders in the NFL. I've never
Yeah,
seen
he
that.
averages like 16 stuffs a year if
And
you
in
average it all out.
2023, he had, which by the way, guys, the average is 70, I believe, a PFF grade against the run. They get so if you're above that, you're
You're
a pretty
above
good edge.
average.
You're
Yes.
pretty good.
Yeah.
And this is by the edge position. You're an edge setter, right? In 2023, over the course of the season, he had a 92. That's fucking unheard of. I mean,
It's almost his jersey number.
yeah, that's like you have to grade on a curve for the rest of the league.
And I think you sent me Montez Sweats, and last year it was a 63 in terms of his.
63, which by the way, they said a low 60s grade means that you're not, which another thing that I've heard and kind of always just bought is that this guy's a really good run defender. But
But he was
Sweat
below
was
average
just as
according to
big a
PFF.
problem
Take
as
that with a
anyone.
grain of salt. Yeah.
He was the best by the numbers, but he was just as big a problem as
Well,
the
Brandon,
rest of his team.
I'll push back on it a little bit and say that Montez Sweat with the eyeball test stood out in a very positive way this season.
Especially at the end of the year.
And I get very wary of, dismissing PFF because it's all these numbers, it's this giant algorithm, and like
I hate PFF.
it can get a little wonky.
You know
but
that.
at the same time, when PFF says something that kind of proves your point, you're like, oh, but PFF said this. Like we got to be careful with that too, because it's like a ghost in the system, kind of.
Yeah,
like,
I honestly I wasn't going to bring up the PFF because like I try to avoid because I'm the person I'm so critical of PFF.
Yeah, so you got to be careful with that.
Well,
but
in terms
of the eyeball test,
when
Montez Sweat looked really good this year, Brandon. We said on our Monday show we feel comfortable with our starting edges. I think we need more depth, more rotational pieces to rotate
what I'm saying is,
but we feel pretty good
point
about Booker and Sweat right now, right?
And what I'm saying is in support of that even more, guys. I think these guys.
I like him. He's old though, Foster, like 33 years old.
I think these guys are pretty quality players. I don't know how much. I don't know how much adding, like people are talking about drafting Thieneman. Thieneman, whatever. I don't know how much better this defense gets if they don't get some fucking guys who can plug some gaps and take some blocks, man.
There's a reason that all these mocks are putting Caden McDonald to the Chicago.
Yes, they know the analytics.
Yes,
the Bears don't have a nose tackle or anywhere near. They don't have a guy who's even close to it.
And there was a year where Billings kind of was that guy about 2 years ago, and then it's just kind of dropped off from there. And the Bears have suffered with his lack of production in that area, and their run defense has been trash for a couple years straight. And if you don't fix that, it don't matter who your edge rushers are. It don't matter because you're not going to get to the quarterback if they're running the fucking football down your throat.
Yeah, and Dennis Allen's really big on this. That's like his motto.
I think every defensive coach is at the end of the day because it's just clearly the way it is. And so back to Notorious's question, man, I'm Caden McDonald all the way. Now, J2K says right here, linebacker was also an issue in the run game. Yeah, 100%. Once you got DeMarco Jackson in there consistently, you started seeing him fill holes at the line of scrimmage. He wasn't waiting until the running back was 4 yards past the line of scrimmage to be putting his helmet on him. He was getting up in there. So, like, you need that as well, but it all starts up front.
Yeah, because I'm going to say J2K.
You got to take on those blocks to open it up for the linebackers to get there.
I've said this for a little while. I've said this since kind of halfway through the season. These guys on the defensive front are getting moved so far off the ball after the snap. Because today, man, these guards are athletic. These guards in the NFL these offensive guards are athletic dudes. These swing guards are getting to the second level because we're not filling gaps. Tremaine Edmonds and TJ Edwards are getting blocked by offensive guards at the second level almost immediately.
You have to take up the blocks.
And
you have to take them up. You have to
there's very few linebackers in the NFL that I expect are going to be able to disengage
from shed that block and make a tackle. And I mean, if they're getting in your shoulder pads 3-4 yards past the line of scrimmage, the running back is going to get an easy 10 yards. So yeah, you're 100% right. So if you don't have that big boy up front that will take on 2 blocks and open up those lanes for those linebackers to be able to get into, you're at a deficit. So as you're talking about this, and as we were talking about on Monday, like, and a lot of people want that 3 technique that pushes the pocket, and we talked about that a lot on Monday. I think it might be more valuable. It's not going to be as flashy. It's not going to be as exciting, but I think it might be more valuable to get a stud in that role on your team sooner rather than later to impact that run defense, because then maybe these guys that are already here will start to get better at getting after the quarterback.
Maybe I'm being too optimistic, Dustin, but this is the theory that I'm going to start. Like, I really believe you might have. And listen, there's been games, especially the last week of the season or the playoff game, but even early in Eberflus's tenure, there's been games where this defense looked pretty dominant. And I just think that maybe there's a lot more talent here than people give them credit for based on the numbers. But I think the NFL defense relies heavily on something that the Bears are just completely lacking, and that is a Caden McDonald. And I said all last week, the anchor is your 3 tech because he's got to close the pocket. Now, I do believe when it comes to wreaking havoc on a quarterback, a 3 tech, you can't have
a pass rushing 3 tech that can push the pocket is a huge deal.
You can't have a pocket, but
you need both.
I started to think, Dustin, a 3 tech is always at his best if there's a guy next to him that can consume 2
if you're only taking on 1 block.
Yeah. So it really, a Caden McDonald might tie this thing together, man. It really might. And obviously you need more pieces because you're going to lose some guys here too. Between Brisker and Byard, you'll probably lose at least one of them. But guys, I think McDonald, I get it. I get it now. I get why, what was it, Dustin? 7 of 10 mock draft. I get it.
It was 5 out of 9.
This guy can take on 2 blocks. He can plug gaps. He's athletic. He moves vertically. I think if the Bears take McDonald, every player on this defense improves, even if just slightly. Every player that's already here improves.
Yeah, that'd be great, Foster. Get Dan Hampton in a game. That'd be awesome.
In their prime, obviously.
There's a lot of work to do on the defensive side of the ball. There just is. Yeah, you're gonna have to. You got all your safeties are free agents.
Makes too much sense.
It does, man. It ties everything together, as you're saying. It can really make everybody across that defensive line better. And the reality is, Brandon, there's not a lot of money you have left to invest in the defensive line with the money you've already invested. That's a point I kept making on Monday, and people keep making, because it's just a truth that you can't get away from when it comes to how this team has been constructed. Ryan Poles has sunk a lot of bad money into this defensive line up to this point. And right now, you might have to have a year of getting the most out of it that you can. And if that means you spend that 25 pick on a fucking block eater, a man eater that takes up space and takes up blocks, and that can help make those guys that you've already invested that money in just good enough to do their jobs a little better, that might be the best case scenario. We can keep dreaming about trading for Max Crosby, and I would love that, and I would do it in the right circumstance. But he makes $36 million a year. So you're gonna have
Yeah, and I
Sweat
think
and Crosby making fucking 60 million a
well,
year.
even let's
That's a lot, man.
I think you were afloat when you had Sweat, even with the money that you had given Sweat, and we just kind of stated Sweat earned it a little more than he ever did last year, but the Dio and Jarrett signings, man, find you just put yourself underwater, and I don't know how much you can do there. I really and listen, man, if they're gonna spend in free, listen, I want to say this:
Yeah,
the
it's
Bears,
just an
the Bears are gonna
undeniable truth,
spend
Foster.
money in free agency. I want it to be on the linebacker. I like this linebacking class. I think this is a really strong class of linebackers in free agency. If we're gonna
And in
spend
the
money,
draft.
yeah,
And
if
in
we're
the
gonna spend.
draft, Brandon.
I don't love this free agency group when it comes to the defensive line. I do like these linebackers. If you're gonna spend money in free agency, that's the position I'd be looking at.
I think safety and linebacker are just super deep in this draft, man, and you can kind of rebuild your entire linebacking core in one season if you do it the right way. This is a new member of the chat as well, Brandon. The
Up the
Black
Black Echo.
Echo.
What's going on, man? Yeah,
Thanks for.
for sure. Yeah, that's become pretty obvious. Dustin, go ahead.
Did you watch any of that podcast that he did with Caleb?
Very little. I cut a clip and shared it to a couple of Facebook groups. I did not get to watch the whole thing.
I'm about halfway through it. I haven't watched all of it, but I mean, there's obviously they obviously like each other a lot, and they're really just hyping each other up
Respect the hell out of each other.
the whole time. Yeah, but I mean, and that's one thing, and that's okay. I mean, if Caleb is pushing for Max Crosby, that's interesting because usually the quarterback's pushing for that number one wide receiver, and they're pushing to have their weapons re-signed. That's what the quarterback cares about, you know, on these franchises. Joe Burrow's going to throw his weight around to make sure Jamar Chase and T. Higgins both get paid and stay on his team, right? That's not normally a thing a quarterback does, is push for a defensive lineman to get traded for. That's not normal. But what stood out?
It's funny you should mention that.
Why?
Because you talk about advocating to retain your receivers. I think like Caleb and DJ haven't spoken to each other. It's like some weird shit going on there, man.
What stood out to me, I just want to say from what I have seen of that Max Crosby, the Rush, I think it's called, the podcast with Caleb.
Yeah.
Caleb's confidence and moxie just growing, and he's like growing into this man. Like he's a young kid,
right
really.
Before
like,
our eyes.
Imagine you're 23 years old, 24 years old, and just having that confidence and having that ability to just kind of, you know, be comfortable with who you are and have all this ambition and like when he's talking about the fire still burning, when he's talking about wanting to be the best scoring offense in the history of the NFL, he's talking about trying to have to fight himself for like, because he just wants to get back in it so quickly, but he knows he needs to rest. That self-awareness, that confidence, that moxie, it's fucking super impressive. Caleb in just this year under Ben Johnson has grown so much, not just on the football field. I'm not even talking about that, just his maturity level and his ability to think and speak the game. Bro, but like I don't know, you just see him growing and you see him maturing, and it's just a lot of fun, man. When he's casually kicking it on the couch and talking to Max Crosby, like he's all about his business, you know, and these things were in question with Caleb coming out of college and even going into this past off season last year. Like we
talked about it.
Yeah. And he's really silencing all of that. And he's just about his fucking business, man. He's just a super impressive fucking dude. And I become more impressed with him the more and more I get to know him. And it's just been a lot of fun. That was my main takeaway. And the other thing, Brandon, that he said, because Max Crosby asked him what was the biggest difference between his first season with the Bears and then the second season. And he just talked about the control that Ben Johnson took immediately with him and his coaching staff, and the confidence that they had in themselves, the coaches, that then transferred to the players, and it really just became this cascading effect. And that's what you feel going into this season too. It's like, okay, Press Taylor, let's go. This coaching staff knows what the fuck
man. They're
doing.
very decisive. They're definitive. They didn't want to wait on these decisions. They wanted this stuff resolved. They want to know what they have so they can start They can hit the ground fucking moving, and that's the players are very much all
Good
starting to
question, though.
carry that mentality, but Caleb especially, and Dustin. I mean, I'm enamored with this fucking kid. He's my favorite player in the NFL. He was my favorite player in college football before he was drafted. Oh,
Got another new member of the chat.
what's going
Just
on, bro?
I'm Schnaitman?
Is that
Schnaitman?
is that a statement or like a celebratory remark? I got. To be honest,
Thank you for being here. Hit that like button. You
I
should
hope not.
subscribe.
He
We have a
says
lot
ham
of
and bone.
fun.
I hope
I
not.
mean, that again, we started the show. We talked a good 30 minutes about it. Go back and check it out, my man. It's we'll see how it goes. I think Illinois is still where it ends up being. I think this is all still just a leverage play, but it's feeling more real every goddamn day. The more shit that comes out, that is for sure.
Like I said, we said this. Like it started as a joke. This outlaw shit.
Very, very dismissive. Very dismissive. Yeah. Deacon said I put orange nail polish on my pinky nail and I felt confident today. Nice.
Dude, come around more. I like to see this.
Remember a couple like a Deacon Mike just kind of randomly jumps into our shows and he drops bangers in the chat.
He's on fire.
He had I don't remember what he said anymore. It was hilarious. I just remember it being hilarious.
Was he the who said that I look like?
Yeah, you were waiting for your probation officer. Yeah, your parole officer. He was that guy. That's Deacon Mike.
This was because of you, man. Okay, that's why that's there.
He motivated
to stop looking like I'm waiting for my fucking probation.
Maybe he should slide into JB Pritzker's DMs and start negging him a little bit, and some shit will get done towards the Bears staying in Illinois. Get that fuck off his ass.
Black Echo says, wait, I didn't see that one.
He says Caleb Williams paints his nails like Jeff Hardy. He's badass in my book. And that was another, that's the confidence in Caleb. He said, I give no fucks what people think about how I approach my shit.
He's carried himself that way for a while. Like, your girl loves him. But
he's just diving into it more and more, and he's just becoming more comfortable and confident
I'm enamored
with himself.
by Caleb, not just
that is scary for the NFL, man. It really is.
And then you like the way he carries the leader that he is, and it, you talk about the poise of Caleb Blake for such a young man, he is always he sounds like your father almost, but now he's sounding more like Ben Johnson.
I did not sound that way when I was his age. I know that.
No, and then you watch him in the high pressure moments, and it's the same sentiment on the field, right?
Bribery.
When most quarterbacks are flustered, flurried, and falling apart, Caleb's at his best. What else says leader outside of that, man? If you're
for sure.
Look at the veterans on the Bears sideline when this guy's running 35 yards backwards to throw a fucking
they rally behind him, and like you said, when the quarterback's falling apart in those moments, the team falls apart around him. Caleb just sets the tone for this entire team, man.
Yeah, and you remember the huddle he went into,
and I think he is low-key recruiting Max Crosby,
and he just went like this. He just nods his head and gives a face like we're gonna go win this, guys. Don't worry about that. And you could see the players in the huddle were like, okay, I guess we're winning this for sure.
And I mean, the proof is in the pudding. 7 comeback drives for Caleb and the Chicago Bears.
The Iceman, ice in his veins, guys.
But he was low-key recruiting Max Crosby. Max Crosby was like, he was there. Like if Max Crosby was some 21-year-old girl at a club and Caleb was talking to him, he'd be like, I'm ready to go. He's like, let's go wherever you go, Caleb. I'm gonna follow you. And I mean, that's the effect that Caleb has had on this fan base. Even a bunch of people that fucking doubted him every step of the way, Chicago Bears fans that didn't want him here, are now all about Caleb. This is just the effect that he has on people, man. Like the whole team
and the respect
will follow him wherever he goes.
The respect between the two of those players started on a field. Caleb was like, man, this guy's a fucking animal. Caleb said he's the best edge rusher he ever played in his life. Caleb said that. And all the way dating back to fucking high school, this is the best pass rusher I ever played in my life. And Max Crosby after the Bears game was like, that might be the hardest guy to fucking tackle that I've ever played against. So the respect started with the ability they have on the field, and then they obviously got to know each other on a more personal level. And I think they both respect how they carry themselves.
You just struck something Another
Oh,
thing
good.
from that,
Sometimes I hope that happens.
another thing, yes, good job. Another thing from that podcast was that they brought up what we've talked about a lot in terms of Caleb being so goddamn talented that it can hurt him sometimes. You know, like I can make that guy miss. I can get that ball past him. I instead of just taking the easy one. Instead, and we all know that
That's
that's
what
the
happened
next
when he
step.
got bent in half last year.
Yeah, and then we all
Yeah.
know that that's the next step in Caleb's progression. But like Caleb admitted it, and he was very transparent about it. There was two things he admitted that he was very transparent about that I want to touch on, and this is one of them where like that's where he knows he can improve is just taking what's in front of him, taking what the defense gives him, and sometimes he thinks so highly of his talent, which he needs to, and you need your quarterback to, but that can turn into a negative because then he tries to make the Superman play instead of taking the easy play, and that leads to turnovers. That leads to the low completion percentage.
His awareness has risen.
The other thing that he acknowledged that was really cool in that interview
Was
was
me as a fan.
no was the competitiveness in which he approaches going to play a game against Matthew Stafford. And the quarterbacks always say, I'm not playing against the quarterback. I'm playing against the defense. We're just trying to win the game. But Caleb was like, no, I don't want to get outperformed by Matt Stafford. I don't want to go play against Kyler Murray and throw 2 interceptions and he throws 3 touchdowns. He was very honest about that. Caleb has that competitive drive that's going to help carry this Bears team to a Super Bowl, bro. He wants to be better than everyone.
He wants to be the best.
There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. He's not hiding it. When he goes and plays against Jaden Daniels, he wants to kick the shit out of him, and he wants to be remembered as the better quarterback in that game. I thought that was fucking awesome too.
On a side note, you've seen all these, the general
NFL
fan base making these posts that Josh Jacobs stole the girl that Caleb Williams was seeing. You seen this?
Yeah. That's old now at this point. Yeah.
I know. I posted on that.
She's talented. She's talented. She'd be signed on the first day in free agency for sure.
She has a tramp stamp.
She's a first round pick.
Caleb was here. that had to cross my mind.
God, Caleb. Keep beating me to it.
Fuck those people for even mentioning that though.
Deacon Mike says, for now, let's just focus on the near future. We have a great coach and a team with a continued great shot of winning. We've got 3 to 5 more years of greatness, potentially more. I keep thinking about the Bears need to do with Caleb's contract what the Chiefs did with Patrick Mahomes' contract. Make it a 10-year fucking deal and just keep moving that money back to create the space. That's got to be the way you approach it with Caleb. Yeah,
and Deacon Mike,
and you can really stretch this window out longer than that, Deacon.
And I don't, the idea is that you sustain success regardless of what's going on in the roster around these two people. Like that Ben Johnson and Caleb Williams are enough to continue to take this team, to new heights and to get them into Super Bowls and consistent playoff appearances. And when you lose guys that you can't pay, because that happens, it's going to happen, man. Happened to the Chiefs, but Patrick Mahomes still finds a way to get it done. And
the Chiefs still find a way to make cap space and keep really good players on their team.
Yeah, and Andy Reid is a Hall of Famer, and you hope that that's what's developing here.
Listen, I just thought those were some interesting things that I took away from what I've watched of that interview so far. It's definitely worth a watch. Go check it out. Caleb is just really in his bag, and he's just very comfortable. It's a cool conversation. True Pilgrim said something, and then Black Echo jumps on it that I think is worth talking about. He said, "We've never had a QB like Caleb. Cutler could have cared less, or couldn't have cared less. Cutler had all the talent. It's too bad he didn't care." The Black Echo says, "You always felt that when like Cutler would go play against Rodgers, like there wasn't that competitive edge that Caleb is talking about having, where he just wants to be that much better than the quarterback he's playing against." I always felt that as a Bears fan watching when the Bears played the Packers. Like Rodgers actually gave a shit about it, and he wanted to be that much better than Cutler in those games, and it always showed in the results. There is a straight line there in some kind of ways in terms. There's a correlation between your quarterback approaching the game that way and the results on the football field.
And their body, like, listen, these two guys are polar opposites. I always felt like Cutler got to a point in the season that guy took a beating, man, guys. That guy got hit so many times at the line of scrimmage trying to get a ball across the goal line. But Cutler got to a point every year where it's like, I'm just not provided enough. I'm just not provided enough to take this team all the way. Where Caleb is like, I'm gonna make everybody on this team better.
He's the
That's
tide
my
that lifts all
that's
boats.
my
Yes,
goal. Yeah.
yes.
It's not about having enough. It's about what I do with it.
Yep.
And I
Making it
didn't,
enough.
yeah, I didn't get that sense from Jay.
Yeah, and that's just why we have this uber confidence right now in this team. And that's why it's super critical that the Bears get this offseason right and get the right additions on the defensive side of the ball and the offensive side of the ball. Whatever they need to do to just improve this team and keep this competitive window open and really kick the door in on getting to a fucking Super Bowl. You have the pieces in place, the most important ones. You have them in place, man. And I just think Caleb is gonna come out this year fucking firing. Caleb is
And
gonna
I
light the
what
league
I
up this season.
what I see in the future of Colston
He
Loveland.
wants to score 50 points a game.
Colston Loveland could be a
That's
travesty.
the other thing that I saw today, Brandon. I want to talk about.
This kid, man, is the sky is the limit for Colston Loveland, guys. And
Appreciate you, Foster. Have a
me
good
and
night,
Dustin
man.
have kind of been. Thanks, Foster. Stay safe yourself, man. Appreciate it. To add a player like Colston Loveland to a team that has a Caleb Williams and a Ben Johnson, it's feeling Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce. It already is to me, but I think
They're certainly following that
I don't.
blueprint. And
I
polls
don't even
came.
want to put a ceiling on Colston Loveland. I don't. I don't know that I can even define what a ceiling might be for this kid.
Brandon, I texted it earlier today, and earlier tonight actually, and I really believe it. I think this season, Colston Loveland, barring any major injury, because he dealt with some injury stuff this past season, right? Going into the season and then towards the end of the season with the concussion. But like he can be he will be the best tight end in the NFL.
I think so too.
He will have the production. And even if he doesn't, you're going to see the impact
You
he
said
makes on the field.
Gonzalez when he was drafted, and we all kind of like.
My comparison for him was Tony Gonzalez. Yes, yes, it was.
It's looking more and more realistic every day.
He's going to be the number one tight end in the NFL. And I saw today, we just trashed PFF and talked about how much trash it is. True Pilgrim jumped on that hard, but he was ranked by PFF for the final grade of the year as the third best tight end in the NFL. But just for context,
he's the highest graded rookie in the NFL.
But this is just tight ends in general. Third best in the NFL. Dalton Kincaid was number 2, though, and Jackson Hawes was number 4. So the grading is really about the role that you play. Neither one of those guys play anywhere near as crucial and explosive of a role as Colston Loveland does for this Bears offense. So when you take that into context, it's like, okay, that grade might mean a little something considering how much Colston Loveland does and what's asked of him. This dude is going to be the best tight end in football. And I have no doubts about that. No doubt.
Highest graded rookie, not tight end. Rookie. And I want to say this, man. I
fuck yeah, true.
Me too. I think there's a lot of, because the Tyler Warren comparison will always be made. It still is. And I said last week,
I love that picture of Foster.
And Dustin, I'm not trying to depict your words in any way. I said last week, I think he's better. He's a better football player than Tyler Warren. And you said, well, for this offense, if you look at when Colston Loveland started to play really full-time football for this Bears team and compare those numbers, so let's say like the last 8 weeks or whatever.
Oh, he blew by
him out of the water.
Tyler Warren. Yeah, he did.
I mean, he destroyed him. This guy is, I agree with you, the best player.
That also lined up with Tyler Warren losing his starting quarterback. Those two things lined up.
Sure, and
that
Trey McBride was the number 1 statistical tight end in the league last year. Colston can be better than that, man.
Colston is going to be 100-catch tight end in the NFL. He's going to put up double-digit touchdowns.
8 to 9 catches a game.
I'm always up for a Colston Loveland love fest. We do it consistently here on the bare minimum. Any chance I get to talk about Colston Loveland, I will do it. And I just think the sky's the limit for this kid. Like you said, putting a cap on it doesn't make any sense, or even having a comparison. We got to see. Caleb Williams started to really develop a trust and a knack to find him in the crucial moments. And Colston Loveland, there was a couple moments he had some drops towards the end of the season. He didn't have any all year until the very end of the season.
And he's a young player.
Yeah. But like Colston Loveland found a way to come through and make clutch catches and make plays with it after the catch in just moments that were huge. The connection between Caleb and Colston is gonna grow so strongly this season. I just see Colston Loveland being the number one tight end in the NFL this year.
I see.
And
I said in all
feel
pro.
very confident in that.
An all pro. I think he's
And I-
first team all pro.
And I think Caleb Williams is going to come out fucking just slinging it this year. I think you're going to see this offense really start to take off. I think it's going to be important to keep that continuity. We got to see what they're going to do with the running back. I mean, this year, a lot of people are talking about cutting Swift, and could they save that money and go a different route, get a cheaper running back in the draft? I think Ben's going to do great things with the running game no matter what, no matter who's there. But, a lot of people were speculating on who the Bears were going to add to supplant DeAndre Swift last year. And then DeAndre Swift, they didn't do shit. They were confident in him, and he came out and had his best season of his NFL career. So
he made that statement, was it yesterday? He was asked about the potential.
Yeah, I want to be a Bear. Yeah.
He's asked about the potential.
I just had my best season. Yeah.
Moved on from, and he said, I don't want to fucking go anywhere.
He says, I think I earned my right to stay here. I just had my best season and want to be a Bear. And I mean, I'm with it. I think DeAndre Swift is going to have another great season for this Bears offense if he's still their starting running back.
I want to say too, guys.
That's crazy. With the Paul Allen died and the Seahawks are selling, could be the highest sale in NFL history in terms of a team's value, $6.5 billion. Goddamn.
I want to say too, we talked about this a little bit last week, guys, but I want Ben to take some players on his side of the ball in this draft because the results from last year's draft
speak for themselves. Yeah.
I mean, good God, this guy, Ben Johnson, this is the first time we got to see. I think the Gibbs pick was a lot to do with Ben Johnson on that Detroit team, but this was Ben Johnson's first class of rookies, man. Monungai, Trapillo, Loveland, Burden. These guys all looked like future stars. They do. Trapillo's injury, we don't know what's going on there, but the rest of these guys,
we know it's bad, Brandon. We do know
they're clearly a big part of a successful team in the future, man.
So in that vein, we got True Pilgrim asking this question here. What do we do at left tackle? I think drafting one. I really like Monroe Freeling. I mean, I think drafting one at 25 is not out of the realm of possibility.
No, I don't. We talked about this last week. Even if Ben did it, you're not going to hear a peep out of me, man. I am all in on this guy's ability to identify talent.
Caden Proctor, potentially. I mean, there's options there. Lomu, there's options there in that range of some guys that have some really high potential that could turn into your starting left tackle. And it's a great problem to have. If Ozzie does come back from this injury and he is what he was when he got injured and he gets back to that form, and now you got two really good tackles along with Darnell Wright, two really good left tackles. I mean, that's a good fucking problem to have. I think you got to really consider the draft. And if you're not doing it with the 25th pick, you got other options in mid rounds. There's some guys out there there's potential. I don't know about spending big money in free agency on a left tackle. If they do anything in free agency, I think it's just a stopgap. I think
if
it's just
Ben Johnson takes his left tackle in the 4th round, I would believe strongly that he's going to be a good left tackle. I just think this guy's ability to see it. Nobody else saw it in Loveland, though. I think there was one team that said maybe Sean Payton wanted to trade up. Ben Johnson saw something that nobody else did. He saw it in common guy. I mean, his ability to identify this stuff is quite impressive, guys, for a guy who's only done it once.
If you're looking for a starter, a consistent one at left tackle, I think you got to hit it in the draft, man. I do not think the Bears have the ability to go out and spend a bunch of money on a left tackle in free agency or go trade for one. I think it's got to be in the draft. And I really like Monroe Freeling, if that's an option. I'm a big fan of Caden Proctor. I am. So, I mean, there's options there. True Pilgrim says Luke Newman is underrated. Fuck yes, he is. Luke Newman is going to be a starting guard in the NFL. I mean, once Tooney retires,
I didn't even mention Newman because during the preseason, me and Dustin. First off, when the pick was made, I said I like this pick. I said that I like Newman.
We thought he could have ended up being a starter last year. We thought he could have ended up being a starter last year.
I said the day of, I like this guy more than Trapillo. I do. And during that preseason, if you focused on him
He
solely, like
fucking dominated.
he was just
The,
running
the
people
guy
over.
across from him ate dirt a
Yeah,
lot. Yeah.
he was blocking people 10 yards and like 10 yards back. I mean, I have. He's a really important piece of your future, man. These guys get injured in the NFL. This is going this. The offensive linemen seem to miss 1 or 2 games in a season. Obviously not Tooney, but that's like ungodly. But I think that Luke Newman's going to be an important piece of his future, and I don't think it's just going to be a depth, Dustin.
No, he's gonna end up being a starter once you move on from Jonah Jackson or Tooney. I think Tooney, when he's gone, once that contract plays out, or maybe even before, if you move on from him early,
Or if he retires.
Luke Newman is here for that. Yes. And James says Trapillo will never be the same player when he comes back. If all the reports you read about that injury, that is probable, highly probable. It is much more probable than him
Yeah, the
coming
odds
back.
are in favor of not being the same guy.
Yes, correct. Which is why I think drafting a guy with a high pick at the left tackle position makes the most sense if you're talking about replacing Trapillo. That's to me. True Pilgrim says JC Davis would be a nice pick in the 4th. Yeah, I could see that. Dwayne says he looked good. Deacon really likes Lee Hunter out of Texas Tech. So do I. I prefer him over Banks, to be honest. He's probably my favorite 3 tech that the Bears could take at 25. And if he were to somehow fall to the 2nd round, that'd be amazing. But I don't think that's definitely not going to happen. So yeah, if you want him, you're taking him at 25.
Well, if he falls to the 2nd round, he's not falling all the way down to where the Bears are.
Yeah, you might be able to trade up though. But he's my favorite 3 tech option. And we got a new member of the chat again, Space X NASA. Illinois is a joke, and Pritzker will be known as the governor who let the Bears get away. Listen, Pritzker gonna be known as a lot of things that aren't.
Yeah, I was going to say this is another chapter in the Shitsker legacy.
Space X NASA, appreciate you. We were just having a conversation about space exploration last night, Brandon. That's kind of funny. But thank you for being here. Hit that like button. Subscribe, my man. We have a lot of fun. We're here 4 days a week for you guys with all kinds of Chicago sports content. James says Proctor at 25 is a no-brain. I gotta say, man, I kind of like Freeling better. Proctor is a massive beast of a fucking player with like awesome physical abilities, but I like the potential.
You don't want to take that
a little better. Season can start season at left. We can start the season with Tooney playing left tackle and Newman starting at left guard. Is that what you're saying there, Mo Lester? And then develop that 3rd or 4th round draft pick. Yeah, Newman could start. That's what you're saying.
Lester.
I mean, I don't. You don't rule out anything with Ben Johnson. I think they're gonna look at all their options, man.
It's important that you don't.
I love Luke Newman though, and if he gets a starting role, I think he's gonna handle himself very well, especially with another offseason under his belt. With working with this coaching staff. So, yeah, Newman could start. I'd be okay with that.
100%.
I'd be okay. I'd be okay with trying Darnell Wright at left tackle too, guys. I know nobody likes to hear it. Everybody gets so offended when I say it. Don't mess with a good thing. Leave him at right tackle. It could be a great thing at left tackle. All I'm saying, he's got the physical abilities to do it. He's your best offensive lineman. He's the tackle you drafted in the top 10. Maybe he could be your left tackle of the present and
the way
future.
Dan Rochard,
why not look at
that guy? The way that Dan Rochard talks about that kid, there's no reason he can't play that position. Dan Rochard said, like, I've never seen the physical.
He's a unicorn. He's a physical unicorn at that position. So why could he not?
Dan Rochard's been doing this for 40 years. For him to say, I've never seen somebody quite like it, that speaks volumes to me about what the capabilities are there.
Brandon, we're hitting our end here. We got to get some sleep. It's been fun. The chat has really carried us. We had a bunch of new people jump in tonight, so I hope y'all subscribed. I hope y'all liked what you saw. I hope you hit the like button. We had Foster jump in with all 3 of his accounts, so thank you for that, Foster. We appreciate the bump there. And again, I just love the wig there. It's insane. The picture is just great.
It's amazing.
Listen, the Bears could go to Indiana. I don't think they're going to. I think they're staying here. But again, it's feeling more real than I ever wanted it to feel. So we got to acknowledge it. We got to talk about it. Either way, there are Bears. This team has its quarterback. It has its coach. Has a crucial offseason in front of it. It's going to be a lot of fun to see how this plays out, Brandon.
It will indeed, Dustin. Excited for another one, man. But we will be back, what, Saturday?
Oh, Saturday, the Northside Nine. I mean, they didn't do a show this past week, so I don't know. I don't know what the plan is, but if they are here, it'll be at 10 a.m. on Saturday for the Northside Nine. Monday, we got the House Hall
Speaking of
Hangover.
that, man, I just want to. They had a guest on their show a few times, guys. A Cubs insider named Alex Pratt. He shared today a
Thank you,
photo
Phil. Appreciate you.
on a Facebook group. He shared a watercolor picture he did of Caleb Williams with the Packers player who's falling at his right when he's doing the off-platform throw. Very, very fucking cool picture. I mean, pretty incredible artwork.
I don't. We could not have ended this show without you shouting that out, Brandon. So I
Yeah, of
appreciate
course
that.
not. No. Well, the guy's on our show, so I'm throwing him some love, man. He's been on our show multiple times, so
I just want to see
check his
Caleb. I
content.
just want to see Caleb throwing some love to these receivers, scoring 50 points a game.
Against love.
Oh yeah, and me and Brandon. Hold on, I just want to say this. Brandon's been telling me to watch it. I haven't had Apple TV. I got it. I've been watching Shrinking with my wife, and we can't really ever find things to watch together that we both enjoy. Shrinking is fucking awesome. Highly recommend it. Season 2 is a lull, man. I'm hoping it gets better. It's like season 2.
I haven't started yet.
It's dropping down. There's a lull, man. It's not as good as the first season. It's
of course
not even close. But I'm hoping that they bounce back. We're just finishing up season 2. If you haven't watched Shrinking, go check that shit out. Fucking hilarious. Fun for the whole family. You should have your 8-year-olds watching.
It is a great show. It is.
Yeah, no, I just wanted
to.
Yeah, no, I fucking love that show, and it's fun to talk about too. So yeah, check that out, guys. Been a blast. Bear the fuck down. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you guys on Saturday. We'll see you on Monday. We're here on Wednesdays. We're here on Thursdays. Love y'all.
Bear down.
All right, appreciate it. Peace.